Okay, welcome back to the Motherhood Collective Co.
Welcome. It's February.
Well, oh, it is. Today's February 1st.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's February 1st.
Which is so fun, right?
Yeah, I know. Do you know what's so funny is last year I went to Hobby Lobby and bought so many things to make like paper Valentines for Noah to make paper Valentines. I bought like Jello molds. I bought plates. I bought all kinds of stuff. And I lost the bag.
Oh.
But when we moved, I found it. So I have it. And now it's like a little present I'm going to open.
Oh, it's going to be like the best Valentine's Day ever.
Because we're going to open it tomorrow and start using all of our cute Valentine's Day stuff. And I bought it a year ago, so didn't even have to spend money. In case my husband's listening, I didn't even have to spend money.
Let me just say that again.
Yeah.
I love Valentine's Day. It's honestly one of my top 3 favorite holidays.
I know. And we both do something different with our kids. You want to tell? Because I saw you share your stories. What do you do?
Yes. So starting today, like she'll get a paper heart on her door. Mm-hmm. Every morning. That's like a little Valentine's thing from me, a little Valentine from me that just says something that I love about her. So then by the time Valentine's Day comes, she has 14. Last year, 28, because Chase also made 14. We'll see if he has the time this year. But little Valentine's Day, like things on her door. And then the morning of, we do pink pancakes. We make love bugs. We make Valentines for all of her friends. And then we either like drive around and pass them out or just whenever we see them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do crafts, paint nails, just like all the pink fun things. We wear pink.
I'm so excited to have a girl.
But yeah, make cookies. We always make cookies too.
Yeah, we do a lot of the same things. But instead of every day he gets something, last year, I guess I've done it for 2 years. I write out a bunch of hearts, like things that I love about him. Mm-hmm. And then we stick them on the walls leading to his gift on Valentine's Day morning. So when he wakes up Valentine's Day morning, he like picks the heart and we read them to him. Yeah. And he pulls them and it's all the way until his gift, which our house is a longer way this time.
Yeah, so it's going to be a trek.
but that's really fun. I love that.
It's such a fun holiday. And I have such fond memories. My mom always used to have a little Valentine on the kitchen table every morning for us, and it was just sweet.
I feel like that's one of my biggest memories from my childhood was all of our Valentines. I can remember because I have like this crazy memory, and it might be a trauma memory, I'm not sure, but like where I can remember things from literally 18 months old. Yeah, like down to what I'm wearing.
That's amazing.
And so one of my first memories of Valentine's Day, we got the Hercules VHS tape.
Oh my, amazing.
And so just that to say that I always try to get Noah to watch Hercules on Valentine's Day. I think it's like nostalgic for me.
That's really cute. I love that.
I know. But this week, so we are doing a Q&A, and I said anything goes, and you guys asked a big array of questions.
Yeah.
So let's do our best to hit these out. Right?
Yeah.
Our best job.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's just get going. Anything else you want to update us on, Jessie?
No, but I was thinking when I said Valentine's Day is one of my top 3 favorite holidays, I was wondering what your top 3 favorite holidays are.
Easter, Valentine's Day. Wait. Easter, Halloween. No. Easter, Valentine's Day, Christmas has got to be, I think. Halloween's fun, but not because of Halloween Day. I don't really care about Halloween Day. I just like decorating my house for fall. So that doesn't really count.
Fall is really fun. And like dressing up and going out.
And then just like sweaters. And like it's the change from like the hot summer. So I love that. But I don't really care about Halloween, the holiday. So I'd say Easter, Valentine's Day, and Christmas.
Oh, that's fun. I guess I should love Easter more than I do.
I love Easter so much. I try to make it as big of a deal as Christmas.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is. But I think 4th of July would take the place of Easter for me. I love the 4th of July.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I think that 4th of July, Valentine's Day, and Christmas are my favorite. Yeah. But I do love Easter.
I love it because it's like I can celebrate the whole week leading up to it, and I can make every single day special. I don't know. And we do like the Jerusalem meal and all
I think our miscarriages, my miscarriage kind of like put a weird thing on Easter for me. Maybe just that's why it's kind of off for a little bit right now.
I think it made me feel I've talked about that before, so I won't go like too far into detail, but because like on Thursday, the night Jesus was having like the Last Supper, right? And nobody knew this burden that he was carrying. But he knew. I had the miscarriage already, and I hadn't told any of Brady's family yet. And so like instantly that day I related to that, and I'm like, I mean, not the same scope. I'm not carrying the world's problems, but
no, but you really felt connected to him.
I did. And then that happened on Good Friday. And then, you know, on Saturday, I'm thinking, wow, like how that, it just like blew my mind. Yeah. And it made me feel really connected to him. So it didn't really damper it for me, I don't think. Yeah. You've done that twice now.
Why does it happen so dramatically? No, it popped out and everything.
And last time it totally covered your face.
To create another like blooper reel, don't you think?
Maybe.
Okay, I'm just...
Okay, and we're back. We had a mic mishap. So if you heard any of that, or I don't even remember where our conversation left off, I was going to leave my jacket on, but that made me so hot. I had to take it.
That was a lot of concentration. Like the tiniest rubber bands through the tiniest little avenues, and now I'm not going to touch my mic even a little bit. And hopefully I don't bump it. Okay, we're doing this.
Okay, we were going to get into questions, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just going to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. So our first question, what does breastfeeding look like after a year? How often, before or after meals, etc.? At a year old, so food before 1 is just for fun. Once you start building up your child's diet to where they're eating when you're eating, I wouldn't worry so much about milk. For Noah, I mean, not worry about it. They're going to be eating milk all the time. But like, don't overanalyze it. Don't make it complicated. Like it can get a little bit easier. Kind of the way that food is easy before they're 1. Like, oh, if I feed you right now, it's fine. If I don't, it's also fine. So I think after they're 1 years old, you can say, are they needing comfort? Are they wanting it? Are they asking for it? That's how I did it with Noah. It was just, I never stopped feeding him on demand.
Yes.
And then he eventually naturally weaned. Yeah. He stopped demanding.
It was always on demand for me as well. And I honestly think for the average baby, it's going to look so different, but anywhere from 1 to 7 times a day or more, I think is totally normal. Like it's really whatever that they ask for. I would encourage, if your goal is to nurse for much longer than a year, then I would, do more feedings than not, because your body's definitely going to be in tune with your baby. So if your baby's doing once a day for several months, your milk's probably going to dwindle. Yeah. But if you kind of force a few more feeds than what they want, then your milk will hopefully
as long as you're feeding on demand, you're not going to dry up before their body is ready for it.
Right.
But it is nice, like after a year old, when you're like, okay, we're going to be out and about, I can just give you this squeeze pack instead of a boo.
Yeah.
Gets convenient.
It's a game changer for sure.
All right. How do you prioritize healthy options when things are just so expensive? You guys, it is so expensive right now. It is so, when Brady and I got married, we still ate all organic, all these things. But we spent maybe like $120 a week in groceries. I think I'm spending like $350 a week, or I don't even know if that's facts, because like I go to the grocery store multiple times a week, but my major grocery haul is that expensive every single month.
It's about $280 to $300 for us a week, but that's only our main staples. So if I go somewhere else like Trader Joe's or like Whole Foods
or something,
or out to eat, it's not calculated. So honestly, I just think you have to pick and choose what's the most important to you as a family, prioritize it above all else, and let the other things go.
Yeah. And honestly, for us, like going out to eat, not a priority. Yeah. We do, I think one time a week we are like, okay, let's get out of the house. Let's go do something fun.
That's so funny, because for some reason I thought you guys go out to eat a lot. No?
No, we
Maybe
don't.
It's because you like open my eyes to like, whoa, you can take your whole family out to eat. Like when we went to Mount Fuji the other day, I was like,
you guys
whoa.
don't do that?
No, like we order in. We're order-inners.
Yeah. No, we're not.
And we play a game or something.
We're not.
But like the thought of having 2 children in a restaurant is just much different than one.
Can I tell you? Because Lazy Dog has like always been our favorite restaurant.
Yeah, Lazy Dog is
it's
good
so
for families,
good.
yeah.
But like Noah, we would just pack my diaper bag full of cars, and Noah would be literally underneath the table. He'd be going underneath the table to each seat. He'd kind of come out and play. Like he's just everywhere.
You know, like my OCD can't do under the table.
Don't let myself get stressed out because like going out to eat is so like
it's fun.
I don't know. It's like something that Brady and I really enjoy. So I don't ever want to look back and say like I didn't do that because of my kid. He's obnoxious sometimes. You know?
I love going out to eat with Chase, but I guess I just truly had never thought about taking.
Like it wasn't even an option.
No, I was just like, why would we not just like order in and stay in our pajamas? You know.
Yeah, no.
But
like
it's fun. It was fun to go to. It was fun to go to Mount Fuji.
Yeah, we should do that again.
I know.
Maybe this weekend. Anyways, healthy options. So, and here's the other thing: we are so caught up. And rightfully so, on like all of the organic, all the grass fed, all of that. If you're feeding your kid like the regular produce and not grass fed beef, it's still better than, you know, ramen noodles, McDonald's. Like do what you can afford. Don't put yourself into debt with these things. You can still feed your family healthy food on a budget. Yeah. You don't have to go broke to do it. And don't let people on Instagram make you feel that way. You know, I do think that having the food your family eats being a majority of your budget is a good thing. But like you still need to work within that budget, you know?
Totally. Like that was just something we decided as a family that was always going to be one of the most important things. So we know what we're going to spend every week on that. And that's what it is. So that does mean like we're going to say no to other things that aren't as important to us. And
meal plan it out. I think that's also easy. We talked about that last week, but get yourself a planner, and there are lots of really good like meal planning planners if you want to like buy one, but you don't even have to do that. Just like write it all out on a sheet of paper. Like what are your snacks going to be this week? Because guess what? We're not a snack household. I don't have snacks in my house. I have ingredients. So my kid, when he wants a snack, he gets like a piece of ham or a piece of cheese or some fruit. I don't buy like, I don't know. I've never been that way. So I think that's cheaper too. When I'm not buying these really expensive, like pre-made snacks, I can just say this week, we're having sliced apples or carrots as your option for a snack. And I've never gotten any complaints from it. I think it doesn't really know different, but that can also be a way you can cut back while prioritizing healthy food.
Yeah. And I think I have mentioned this before, so I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but it's really worked for me is, first of all, I have a Pinterest board with all of my meals. So you know how our parents or maybe like our grandmas had recipe cards and books and all that kind of stuff.
I have those things.
I love that. And I was thinking like, so I have a Pinterest board of like hundreds of meals. Every single one on that Pinterest board I've made, and it stayed there because we loved it.
You know that there's going to be 100 people asking for that Pinterest board.
I'm happy to give the Pinterest board, but I add to it every week. So I'm looking on Pinterest. Sometimes my meals are repeated from my board that I've already made, but sometimes I try something new. And then so I pick 4 meals a week and I pin them all to my Pinterest board. I pick 1 lunch and 1 breakfast for the week, pin those to my Pinterest board. If we like them, they stay. If I didn't like them, they'll get deleted. So I can kind of filter through those, less thinking through things. I order all of the ingredients for all of those things on my Sprouts app. You don't need to order from Sprouts. You can order from King's. There's a lot of different places you can order online. I do that because I can get really distracted in grocery stores and I can be like, oh, this looks fun. This looks good, but it has no plan. So I buy every single ingredient with a plan and a purpose. So we're buying something and I'm like, I know exactly what meal this is going in, what day. And then by the end of the week, my cabinets and my fridge are empty because we're not buying excess. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is like they buy all this excess and then they're like, well, we have this random soup and these noodles and this thing. And it's like, but you don't have a meal. And so I would honestly encourage you. And until you get to that point, here's a little challenge for all of you. Make do with what you already have in your pantry and your fridge until you literally have nothing left. Yeah. And when you have nothing left, start from scratch and plan meal by meal and go from there.
I could have went to Whole Foods after we went to the park today, but instead I came home. We have Costco sells really good wild caught salmon, like they're what is it?
Sliced.
They're sliced, but they're in a seasoning and it's marinated.
Marinated.
They're really good. And we had those and I'm like, oh, and I've got a little bit of rice. I've got like 5 sprigs of asparagus and like these random vegetables. And I just whipped it all up and put it in and I made salmon bowls with them. So yeah, you can do that too. And also I only make 3 meals a week. So I and because for me, it's easy. It helps me plan my days like in the week a little bit easier, but also like it's cheaper because I know we're going to eat every single scrap of that food. And sometimes my husband doesn't love that, but you know what? He's the one that is always telling me we need to save money. So,
and if you need to like add in one of your meals a week is like a vegetarian meal, because meat is the most expensive thing you're going to buy. So those are some hacks.
All right. Keeping the chemistry with hubby when he works all the time and you have a 1-year-old. Hey, my husband works all the time.
Do you want to say something about this that's going to light the internet on fire and convince them that we like hate our husbands? It's fine.
I need to be more careful when I cut reels, you guys.
You didn't say anything wrong.
Every week, you guys, every single week, I kid you not, we get a reel that gets like 200,000 views or at least over 100. And it's always my big mouth. And there's always mean people. Mean men or like people who aren't even parents or some salty mom who is on there telling me that I must hate my life and I'm miserable. I'm sorry.
I feel like maybe there's like wives sending them to their husbands and then their husbands are like pissed, so they come and like comment on it.
Maybe that is what it is. I've racked my brain.
I don't know why we would show up on the algorithm for men.
I know.
There's nothing about our page that says if you're a man, come visit.
I know. Well, do you know what is actually interesting is that you know how like the algorithm, we don't really do hashtags. Right. It's like keywords in the reel. And then I make keywords and then I hide them.
Yeah.
Well, I've been putting parent and parent podcasts, so maybe it is showing up on the men's page. But do men
listen to parenting podcasts?
Maybe. I don't know. Okay.
Not angry men, that's for sure.
Keeping up the chemistry, and you have a 1-year-old. Let's see. My husband works a lot, and this is something that is hard because by the time Brady gets home, like he just walked in the door right before you got here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an earlier night for him. And by the time he gets here, I am touched out, I'm tapped out, and ready to go to bed. So a lot of times, honestly, we just watch a show and go to bed.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And that I think is okay. It's a season. But then the time that we do have together, we make it really intentional. And my husband and I are very good communicators. So something that we don't skimp out on every day is like deloading our day. And that's like a really good connection point for us. And we've just gotten really good, like talking about intimacy and when each other needs it, because men need intimacy to feel connection, but women need connection to be able to be ready for intimacy. So there's going to be like this tug and pull. Someone's always going to be sacrificing a little bit unless it's the perfect situation. But if your husband's working a lot and you have a 1-year-old, the perfect situation might not come around a lot. So having that open line of communication where your husband can come to you and say, hey, I really need this right now. I need to feel connected to you. Or you can come to him and say, actually, I don't feel connected to you at all. So I really need to sit down and talk. I think just helps a lot being able to talk about it.
And honestly, I feel like tapping into each other's love languages while he's at work, like is his love language words of affirmation? Send him a really long text about all the things you love about him. Or is his love language acts of service? Do something for him that he had on his to-do list, you know, or plan some kind of special night. Say he does come home super late and you are so exhausted, like set up a movie night for the two of you in the living room and get the kid to bed early and, you know, have that, even if you fall asleep, at least there was that intentional effort. And I feel like that's what it comes down to, is just intentional effort and not getting to the point where you just don't care anymore, you know, and just
don't ever let it get there. And I think that's all communication. Don't let it get to the point, because a lot of times parents, they've got so much going on that I think it is easy to fall into a routine and to avoid intimacy. And I think
that's the majority of people. I don't think that the majority of people are having healthy intimacy with their partner regularly with kids under the age of 5.
Yeah. And when they work a lot.
So just first of all, give yourself some grace. Remind yourself that this is a season, and tend to your marriage in ways that are tangible regardless of the time frame involved.
And switch stuff up. It's so easy. This is something Brady and I were really good at after we had Noah. It's so easy to like do at-home date nights to like feel connection, because it's hard. It is hard to like have that intentional connection when you're just doing the same things you do every single day. So there were times in our last house where we had a guest bedroom that was all set up and we had a TV in there, and we would pretend like we were in a hotel room, like go in there, watch a movie, like it's a different bed, a change of scenery. It could be something so simple like that. Or like you're cooking a meal and you set up the table like it's a restaurant.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, just simple.
Set up a
at-home
game,
date
light a
nights.
candle, bake some cookies before they get home, and
And conversation cards are so great.
mm-hmm.
What is that? I don't remember the brand of card. Just literally on Amazon, just look up conversation cards because you can find them anywhere.
Or look on our freebies. There's some date night questions
There
on
is
there.
a freebie. It's the 20 questions.
Yeah.
And those are 20 like intimate questions that you and your husband can be chatting about.
There's also a game at Target called Let's Get Deep.
Yes.
And it sounds like it's going to be like super sexual, but I mean, we haven't come across that if it is yet, but I don't think it is. It's just like, let's just talk.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 levels of questions, and we found ourselves asking each other questions, if you can believe it or not, that you've never actually talked about before.
Yeah.
So that's the fun little thing to do.
You just gotta keep it simple and change up the scenery and be really intentional because it is easy for that to slip to the wayside. How do you build your village? Friends, doctors, faith, etc. How do you build your village? You say yes a lot. Tomorrow I'm actually going on a play date. Well, it's not really a play date because her baby's just as old as Lily and they won't talk yet. But with someone from our podcast, she reached out and we've been chatting a little bit on Instagram and we're going to meet up. So just say yes. I think I'm the one that she initiated talking to me and then she told me she was in Parker and then I asked her if she wanted to meet up and she said yes. But she could have said no because it would be easier for her to just be at home with her baby. Yeah. Absolutely. But she's just said yes and she's going to show up. So like put yourself out there. Yeah. And that was a big deal for me. I have not in my life had like a super easy time making an abundance of friends. I've always been really good at having a deep connection with one person at a time. Like I've always had my very small group of girlfriends. And I feel like in motherhood, that's okay. But I feel like it's also nice to have like a bunch of people around you because moms are busy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they go through seasons where maybe they're not as available. So it has been like a huge learning curve to just put myself out there and say, hey, like, do you want to meet up? Yeah. Or someone asked me if I want to meet up where I typically would have said no in the past. Like, oh, I may make up some excuse, but I don't make excuses. I just show up and if it's great, it's great. If it's not, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. And I think also like if you get invited to that birthday party and you don't know anybody there, just show up and bring a gift and bring a smile. Or if somebody gives you some kind of recommendation for something, like take it and follow up with them. Or, I honestly, and I think I said this in one of our very early podcasts, I look at every opportunity as an opportunity to make friends. So like, even if you're at the park or you're at a coffee shop, I'm always going to be like talking to a stranger because who knows, like we might really click.
Could be your best friend.
And I also just think that that's like a fun way to live, that there's always that possibility and the opportunity to meet new people, but they're not going to come knocking at your door and show up on your doorstep. So you have to make some kind of an effort. I will say with doctors, it took me a long time to build a care team that I was super like my village care team. I like how she worded that, but a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of recommendations, a lot of trial and error, showing up places, not liking someone next. Yes. But I feel like after years and years between my dogs, myself, my husband, and this is dental, eye doctors, PCPs, midwives, pediatricians, veterinarians. I feel like I have the full gamut of solid practitioners.
And I've benefited greatly from that. But like even with Molly, our pediatrician, our first appointment.
Don't go see her, by the way.
No, she's done. She can't take any more people. We sent her
I saw her and I'm like, I hope you are still taking new patients. She's like, I'm not. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We just told literally 50,000 people about you. It's fine.
But on that very first appointment, I told her exactly what I was looking for and I was very blunt. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I told her what I didn't like about my past practitioners and I asked her if she would be a good fit and she asked me a few questions and we decided it was a good fit. So you can also do that. Yeah. Like go in for that appointment, that consultation and just be blunt with exactly what you want. Just skip the niceties, which I have a hard time with as a people pleaser. And someone who's not.
But it is best to just get to the point, especially if you're pregnant or you're working with a midwife. You don't have time. Just show up and know exactly what you're looking for, and don't settle for less. And with like church communities, I would just get involved with as many things as you can. Like,
actually go to church.
Go to church, and like MOPS is honestly such a blessing. Their organization is not inherently like Christian, but they meet at churches. Yeah. So
you're going to find people.
Yeah. You have your, like there's, and has any of like my best friends come from MOPS? No, but they're just moms that you can sit around and chat with and relate to and have a good time and drink coffee and like eat warm breakfast. And it's like such a gift.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then there's also just like, I feel like every church has a set of like groups that you can meet in. And even when I was going through like miscarriage, there was a group for miscarriage support that I met a lot of girls at. And, you know, just like show up to things, even if you don't know anyone, like our events, show up, even if you don't know anyone.
Yes. And, you know, a lot of times I've met women at church because we're just all out in the foyer with our babies.
Yeah.
Because they need bounce or they're making a weird noise to fall asleep, you know? Right. And I see a mom who has a kid the same age as Noah. I'm like, do you want to like do a play date? Yeah. Can we do a play date? Is that fine?
Right.
And they're always so excited. I've never had that reciprocated poorly.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to putting yourself out there, and then you can build that community of faithful women.
And I honestly have to give my sister a shout out really quick because she did something that I think anybody could do, because some of these things are like exclusive to where we live or where whatever. She went on the Moms of Parker Facebook group.
I remember this. Yeah.
And she posted like, I'm looking for solid community. Here are the things I'm looking for. I really want to connect with other Christian moms. I want to connect with people in my area. I want to connect with people who are committed to showing up and showing up regularly and not like, oh, sorry, I can't. She's like, we're going to meet twice a month. And it's been over a year, and this group of girls, and I've been going every other Tuesday, are still showing up.
How many girls are in there right now?
There's 10,
That's
maybe
amazing.
12. Yeah, we started with like 20, but like, of course, you know,
fall out.
And I just think there's something so special about being committed and showing up even when you don't feel like it, because our generation is so bad about that.
I know.
Just show up. And like, it's okay to show up and not feel like you have anything to give, because you probably don't when you're a mom, but just show up and be there and say like, my presence is going to be consistent in your life, you know, care enough to be consistent.
Because that really is what, you know, a solid friendship is built on, is consistency. So be consistent to receive consistency.
Yeah.
I think for sure.
And I will say one more thing.
Go ahead.
I think that like to transition a friend from like, oh, we hang out sometimes, to like, you're my person. Yeah. You need to communicate and say like, this friendship really means a lot to me. Invite them into your inner circle, because sometimes that needs to be more of like a formality. You mean a lot to me. Our friendship means a lot to me. I like want to do life with you. Yes. Open up, be vulnerable, and reciprocate their vulnerability. You don't want to like, you want to be a safe place for people. Yes. And so the more that you can force yourself to do all the hard things, the more you're going to benefit from that.
Yes,
you know?
I agree. How do you cope with not stressing over milestone expectations that your pediatrician has? Find a new pediatrician. Well, it depends. There are some milestones that are there because they're going to tell your pediatrician that something's going on if they don't hit them. For instance, well, I'm not even going to say one because I don't want to stress anybody out, but there are. So your pediatrician might have like a genuine concern, and talk to them about it. Like at your next appointment, you can say, why are you concerned that she's not doing this right now? What is the concern? And they might come at you with a legitimate concern. That might just be, well, she's 8 months old, she's supposed to be doing that. Okay, maybe that's not a legitimate concern. But if they say, hey, this actually tips us off that there might be a hearing issue, or that there might be some kind of, you know, I don't know, XYZ, whatever, and you can probably opt for like further testing, then maybe it is important. I don't know if I'm the best gauge for this, because I don't know if I've.
Well, I will say that I think that there's a reason that all of these thresholds are so wide and the range is so wide, because every child is so different and they learn differently depending on, do they have other siblings at home? What are they spending their time doing? How often are they exposed to different things? And were they given anything that inhibited their growth or development for any reason? And so there's just a lot of things to consider, but I think the range of normal is so wide leave room for the individuality of every child. So try to give yourself some grace. I know we're all like on the edge of our seats being like, when is my baby going to crawl? When are they going to walk? Yeah. When are they going to, you know, do all these things? But they will in their due time when they're ready. And it is often overnight. One day they can't, the next day they wake up and they're doing it. And, And also check in with yourself. Do you think there's something wrong?
Yes, listen to your gut.
Do you think there's something wrong with your baby? If you do, then follow that until the ends of the earth. But if you in your heart know that your baby's just fine, then also follow that to the end. Like, don't let anybody tell you differently.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, okay, so right now, actually, Lily at 7 months old, it's supposed to be concerned if they're not saying like consonant sounds like da, 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 and ba, 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 ma, 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 whatever. And Lily doesn't really do that. She's just a quiet kid. And that could be a sign of a hearing problem. But I've tested her hearing. I know her hearing's fine, so I'm not worried about it. She's going to say it when she's going to say it.
Yeah.
So I understand the reason for the milestone because that can tip a practitioner off that the hearing needs to be tested, that she could have like a very bad hearing problem. So yes, is it important? Yes. But is Lily not fitting in the box because she can't hear? No. So am I worried about it? No, I'm not at all. Yeah.
But it is like, it is so intimidating, I think.
And if you're
comparing yourself like online to other moms, it's just
and if your pediatrician's asking you about sleep, like just roll your eyes and say what they want you to say because like that is ridiculous. And there's nothing. Your baby will sleep. It's developmental and they know how to sleep. They don't need your help with it. So when your pediatrician's asking you, oh, are they in their own bed yet? They should really be in your bed yet. It's a really important time for you to start setting down while they're awake but drowsy. Like, okay. You know, I still have to do that with Molly. Do you have to do that with Molly?
No.
Yeah, I have to do that with Molly. Maybe because I'm non-confrontational, I haven't told her like stop asking me that. But
that's funny. She's
like, oh, and she'll tell me like, yeah, it's really important for you to put her down awake but drowsy, and I'm like, okay.
That is so funny.
Anyways, best books podcast for a planned C-section. This will be my first. Do you have an answer for that? Because I actually don't know.
Yes. There's a book called like My Cesarean, I believe it's called. Let me just look it up really quick because it's actually really good. And then there's a podcast called the C-Section Strong podcast that has all sorts of C-section stories on there. And then also like the VBAC link is, although it's tailored towards VBACs, every single one of those women had a C-section to some degree.
And while you're looking that up, my doula, she's like a trauma-informed doula, and she has like taken photos of planned C-sections, and she's the person who's going to take photos of my next planned C-section. And I just think she's really great to follow. She's like, I don't know, she makes me feel good when she even posts about natural birth because she just advocates for women to have a voice in their birth, not for just a vaginal birth. You know what I mean? So she's Madison.doula.
Love that.
And I really love that.
It's called My Cesarean, 21 Mothers on the C-Section Experience and After. And then there's another one called Cesarean Birth, A Positive Approach to Preparation and Recovery. This is also another topic that Amanda and I have. We are either, and we said this about co-sleeping last week, it's noted in our brains, cesareans is obviously another passion of ours, and we are either going to dedicate another series or some kind of course about cesareans, what to expect, and all the way through like recovery. Yeah. So walking you through everything, because we've had 4 between the two of us, but we've also had all sorts of different experiences throughout those 4 and different outcomes, different feelings, different all that. So I think that we have like a wealth of knowledge about cesareans, and
I mean, how can you have more?
We will likely have more.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I have to. I can't try for a vaginal anymore, so I will have to. And I'm actually really pumped about it. I'm not letting that be.
I know. I'm getting there too.
I'm like I'm pumped.
Heck yeah.
Like I am never gonna have to go through the trauma I've went through trying to bring my babies into
I'm so excited for you, and like it really. After my experience with Ledger, I'm like, any birth can be so empowering and positive, and you can literally laugh. Like, I'm going to start crying because I was like, like you can laugh when your baby's being delivered and you're cut open on a table.
It doesn't have to be
wonderful,
traumatic.
No.
So good luck
you got
on your
this, Mama.
first planned C-section. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Another book, podcast, whatever. So it says best podcasts that focus on toddlers' growth, development, milestones, etc. Okay, I don't have a podcast because I am a fiction or crime podcast girly. But I do have a couple of books before Jessie gets into the podcast, and I do audiobooks on Audible or the Libby app.
Audiobooks are the best. best.
They are. So it's like listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
I love the Whole Brained Child. I love the Danish Way of Parenting. And for milestones, I really love Wonder Weeks. I freaking love Wonder Weeks. You can get the book. I have the book. But you can also just download the app and it gives you so
some
much
people
insight.
think that Wonder Weeks is such a hoax, or some people actually get angry because they're like, how dare you put my baby in a box?
I think they're great.
I think it's wonderful. Like yesterday, Ledger was a literal angel. And I would say most days I can put him down. I can do, like, I cleaned for 8 hours yesterday. I'm not exaggerating. And my kids were fine. And Ledger was smiley the whole day. Today, I'm like, what is going on? He woke up sad. He didn't want me to put him down. Everything was upsetting. I get an email like at 10 a.m. and it's like, Ledger's entering LEAP. I think it's like 3 or 4. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And then it tells you what to expect during their LEAP and what they're learning. And it's like, of course, he's learning how to roll over. Yeah. He's like learning how to laugh, you know,
and
all
it's
these
giving
things.
you insight to what they're experiencing.
Totally.
Because right around Ledger's age, he's like starting to realize that you guys are literally not one single person.
Yeah.
And that is so sad. And so you can have a little bit more compassion.
Totally. You're not just like, what is their problem?
Like,
you're like,
why are you crying all day? Like,
baby, I need to
it.
help you. Yeah. But podcast, Raising Good Humans, the preschool podcast, and then Peds Doc Talk podcast, she will like break it all down. And these are just from like Google searches that I found quickly for you. And that early childhood development nerd, I would just like look into some of those because I think it's a huge passion for a lot of people.
It is. And you can listen to a podcast and within 20 minutes know if this is the person you want to continue to listen to. I mean, you guys are still here.
It's different for everybody.
So we vibe with you. Also, we have a whole series on toddlers are raising kids without shame. Like we talk so much and so in depth about a wide array of topics with toddlers and raising them and their development. So
we've been in so many different like baby series lately that like we have not talked about our toddlers in a long time.
I know.
You know?
I know.
Like we bring them up, but like there's been nothing dedicated to them. So maybe we need to like hop back into something for toddler moms.
But we do have a whole like 5 episodes dedicated to toddlers. What made you guys decide to build your own house? We did too and love it. Just so happy for you guys. Jesse and I are both clean freaks and we could not handle the fact that just kidding. Well, not really. That's kind of a thing.
I will say that like we were house hunting for a long time, and I also apologize because I think I said this on our last podcast, but I was just getting really discouraged that for our budget, we would get into a house at the top of our budget and there was still something astronomically wrong with it. Yeah. And the thought of a new build with the exact same budget and it has almost everything we could want, like who would not do that? And like, I just feel like for me, it is always a little bit unnerving to move into an older home because you just don't know what's going on behind the walls or in the ceilings or anything like that. And we've been dealing with a lot of things in our current home that we didn't know about because the market was crazy and it was like, do you love this house? Buy it right now or it's gone tomorrow. We're like, okay, we're buying it. And so I think that like the thought of having a clean slate and I'm walking physically into my house every step of the way and I'm watching it be built. And then like we got to write verses on all of the framing and like pray over it and bless it. And the fact that nobody has been there also feels like a clean slate spiritually, if that makes sense. I love the idea of like just this light, airy, peaceful space that like nothing has filled yet. And we get to pave the way for that.
And we got to customize our house. So within our budget. So we got to make a lot of decisions and make it look the way we wanted to, which I loved about that. And I really also love that we were all coming into a subdivision at the same time as all of our neighbors. Yeah. So there wasn't like an established clique, an established group. Everybody's new and it is so social. Everybody knows everybody. We're all texting each other all the time. Everyone's hanging out. Noah can just go outside and there's like 6 kids for him to play with. Because we're all, we all bought the same price-ish house, right? So we're kind of all in the same, I don't know,
stage of
life. Yeah. Yes. So I love all of that about buying a house.
I just feel like you're not going to have, like you said, you're not going to have that one neighbor that is like so angry that you have dogs and children because they've been there for 20 years and how dare you exist around them. It's like, everybody's in there and everybody's expecting to have a new community. So
Yeah, we love it.
I'm really excited.
I know, I'm excited for you. Discipline. What do you do when your kids refuse to listen? So we'll have different answers for this because we have two different children. So we should have two different answers for this. I just want you guys all to hear that because I don't want you comparing your child to our children. But we can tell you what we do.
Yeah.
I can go first. That's
Go
fine.
for it.
Okay. So we have, I think throughout Noah's childhood, it was a lot of like very typical gentle parenting. I say that in quotations because I think the word gentle parenting gets a bad rap when it's not bad at all. And it was, like I was literally teaching my child from 18 months to 3 years old and beyond 3 years old what his emotions were. Like, you're feeling angry right now, like labeling his emotions for him and helping him work through them. Now at 4, we started getting into this thing right after Lily was born where he knew he wasn't supposed to say stupid. So when he was angry, he was calling me stupid.
I shouldn't laugh.
And well, it's a little funny. Yeah. And like all my normal things weren't working. Yeah. And because normally it was like, okay, let's go into this room together. It's quiet. Let's chat this out. It wasn't working. So I'm like, okay, I think I actually have to come up with some kind of punishment because he's not listening.
Right.
So we sat down, and what we did was we sat down like as a family and we made some house rules. Like, we don't hit each other or the dogs. We don't call each other names like stupid. Stupid is not a word allowed in our house anymore. I cannot handle the word stupid. So like, this is the rule. And we let Noah come up with some rules and like, okay, so what is the punishment going to be? We had to explain to him what discipline was, like actions and consequences to those actions. And so he's like, well, I think maybe we should just go sit in the schoolroom. I mean, because it's his playroom, right? So I'm like, okay, that can actually be a great punishment. So we're not calling it timeout, but essentially that's what it is. But I'm not forcing him, like, okay, you need to take some space and go and sit in your schoolroom, and we'll tell Alexa to set a timer, and we're going to have 5 minutes in your schoolroom, and then we're going to come out and talk, because I needed something that was like a negative reinforcement. And did you read that article of the Gospel Coalition or the Gospel something Coalition on gentle parenting that was released last week?
No, but I know that like Christians have it out for the gentle parenting community right now.
I read it, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking, because it talked about, it basically called us all idiots and said that God wants us to use painful punishment on our children. I have such a hard time with this. I think Christians have it all wrong. I do too.
And here's why. Because the rod is not consistent with hitting your child in scripture. And I maybe should post some kind of blog about this, but I've done such a deep dive into what the rod actually was, and it was a gentle tool used in extreme circumstances to save sheep from harm,
to guide them.
And it was used by a shepherd, and it was never intended for harm. It was intended for protection. And I think that when people use scripture like spare the rod, spoil the child, first of all, I'm not even going to go down that route. Go do your own exegesis and all of this stuff on the biblical references involved. I did that, and I am fully convinced that Jesus never commanded us to hit our children. No. So we are very open about the fact that we're not going to judge you for what you want to do or what you don't want to do. But
don't use
when there's a group of people that we identify with coming at us saying this is the only way, I don't agree with that. So and I think sometimes we just like blindly hear something and we don't look into it ourselves, and we just use that as an excuse to do what's easy. I think it's easy to hit your kid because I think that it gets their attention, and I think it makes them scared, and I think it makes them want to obey you out of fear. And that's not the goal. When we're parenting, we want our children to ask the hard questions. I don't want my child to blindly obey me or anybody. No. I want them to be skeptical enough to ask questions and to come to an understanding of things on their own. And so with Sunny, she's a very sensitive soul, and I have wanted to steward that as best as I possibly can. And up until probably 2 months ago, we didn't have any form of discipline in place. And I also like to clarify, discipline is about teaching, and it's not about punishment. No. So we're trying to teach our kids. We're not trying to get them to just fear us. No. Yeah. And 100%. So there's a big difference. That takes a lot of effort. I think it's hard to teach your kids all of the things and why behind all of the things. What I do for Sunny is I talk through things with her. If she's disobeying, I tell her, hey, I just want you to know this is not what you're supposed to be doing right now. And I give her a minute to see what she's going to do. If she does something the same way again, or I see that it's a deliberate thing, I say, hey, I just asked you not to do that. I see that you're not able to listen right now. I need you to go sit on your bed, read a book, and come back downstairs and we're going to talk. And the reason I do this is because I don't want to yell at her. I don't want to say anything that I don't mean. Words are far more damaging than even actions are. So I'm talking about hitting your kid. Don't yell at your kid, because when you're yelling at them consistently, we all have horrible times. We all have bad moments. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but that psychologically does more harm than physical punishment sometimes. So I think sometimes there's moms that like, I'm not going to hit my kid, but I'm going to scream at them and get their attention. You're doing just as much damage. And so I tell her that, and I'm like sometimes very stern about it. Sometimes I'm just annoyed because we're trying to leave and it's just not the time to do this, but I'm trying to be consistent. Go sit on your bed. We both get a minute to think, to calm down. She can come back downstairs when she's done reading her book, and she's never once been upset about that. So I don't know what I'm going to do if she gets to a point where she's like, I don't want to read my, right now she just like drops what she's doing and she goes upstairs and reads a book. And so she comes back down and I say, okay, why did you have to go upstairs? Oh, because I hit Benny. Okay, yeah. And do you know why you're not supposed to hit Benny? Because I want her to understand the intricacies of it. Yeah, because he could bite me and he could hurt me. He could hurt you really badly. He's an animal. And we walk through all these things. And once she has a genuine understanding for something, I see her doing it less.
It's basically the exact same thing. Noah's is his schoolroom because that's where all of his toys are. So Noah, you need to go take some space. You need to go sit in your schoolroom for a minute or whatever. And I tell Alexa, and he comes out because Noah needs to hear the timer. And then he comes out and we talk. And one of the things in addition to that you probably do too, but I want to talk about is if it's something that he did to somebody else, which usually it is, it's like a dog or it's Lily or whatever. How did that make them feel?
Yes.
You need to teach your kids empathy. Because if no one knows, if he can put himself in Lily's position to say, oh, I was running too fast or whatever, I did whatever I wasn't supposed to be doing and she fell and hit her face. And how would I feel if that was me? He's not going to do it again. And that I think is like a really important step.
And you teach empathy a lot of times by modeling it too. So if there is a situation where, your kid hurts, my kid is hurting our dogs a lot. And so it's like if she were to hit them or, she chases them and tries to grab their tail, I immediately intervene and I pay no attention to her and I go directly to the dog, and I'm sure someday a sibling, and I'll say, oh, and I overemphasize, oh my gosh, Benny, that was probably so ouchy. Are you okay? And I model what empathy looks like. Oh, what can I do to help you? Like, and then her behavior is not getting the attention the one who got hurt is. And B, she's able to model in that situation, oh, when someone gets hurt, it affects them and I need to check in. And so instead of being like, and I never will be like, oh, go apologize, go say you're sorry. I'll say, what can we do to make him feel better? Do you want to check in on him and see what we should do to make him feel better? And like put the ball in her court to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I love that. When I feel like a lot of times what I've noticed when people use like corporal punishment is their kids are trained to do something to get out of the situation. So that's the reaction you're going to get. And there's never going to be a reason behind it. Jesse and I don't hit our kids. We are not heavy yellers. And our children are very emotionally intelligent. And they're very well behaved.
Very sweet.
I do not have problems with Noah. It is not often that he needs to go sit into the schoolroom. And I will also say we set those family rules. So if I say stupid, I go sit in the schoolroom. It's like a family rule. We made a family rule because I was so adamant that word needed to be erased from our vocabulary that I made it like a thing. So now Noah's the stupid police. If anyone says stupid around him, so we can't say stupid.
That is so funny.
I needed that word erased. Where is that green dress from? Jesse's green dress is from Free People.
It's actually from Anthropologie.
Oh, I thought you said Free People.
Wrong. I know. It's from Anthro.
It's really cute.
And it's the most amazing material. It's like a muslin blanket.
I know. I love that. I just got one that's white. It's like a cream and it's that same material from the Worth Collective. It's really cute.
Love that.
Co-sleeping while pregnant. I didn't do that, so you can go on that.
Okay. If you can, buy a bigger bed.
Yeah.
If you have a king size bed, that's great. You're going to want to feel like you have your space. Also, a pregnancy pillow, not only for your comfort, but also for your space. So it kind of serves as like a barrier between you and your toddler, so that you might run hot. Like I have a really bad heat intolerance when I'm pregnant, and I get really hot overnight and I just don't want to snuggle. But also your toddler won't be kicking your belly or doing anything that kind of makes you like cringe in the night. If those things aren't working, I would start having your husband sleep in a separate room with your toddler, so that your child is still having that adult connection, but you're still getting good rest.
Yeah.
And before you come at me, it's a season. You're going to deliver your baby, and then you're going to figure out something else, and then your babies are going to grow up and you'll figure out something else. But for the time being, if you need some rest and your toddler's on top of you and you're pregnant, ask your husband to just go sleep in their room with them, or like put them down. Or if they do come in, your husband puts them back to bed and then comes back in bed or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice. It's exhausting though. Keep it up. You're doing great.
When did you start to feel confident in motherhood? When I stopped listening to what I was supposed to be doing and I did what my gut told me to do, literally overnight. I decided this is really dumb that my child is crying because he wants to be in my arms and I'm forcing him to sleep in a bassinet next to my bed. I'm just going to bring him in my bed.
Yeah.
Literally overnight. And then everything changed. I felt so confident telling everybody to shut the heck up, to leave their opinions out of my head. And maybe, I'm non-confrontational, so I'm not saying that out loud. But when someone tells me a story now, I can separate their experience from my own intuition. Does that make sense? Because I felt like when I was pregnant with Noah, I would ask questions about the way people mother, and then I was taking that to heart. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then comparing myself.
Yeah.
And I just stopped doing that one day. And then it's been the best.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be like, I've always been confident, but I really did feel like the minute that they placed Sunny in my arms that I like knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And so I don't really have advice for that, but I would say just be confident. You just have to choose. You have to just choose to be confident. You have to choose that you know what's best, and you have to like believe that with your whole heart and just.
And you have to practice actually doing what your gut is telling you, to not do the things that is mainstream maybe sometimes, because your gut is telling you to do something different. The more you follow your intuition, the more confident you're going to be.
Because I think like you watch things play out.
Yeah.
You like, and it's like the Holy Spirit, your intuition, like I don't really know where they like intersect and what's what sometimes, but I do know that like I know they're kind of interchangeable, but like once you listen to that still small voice, and I'm going to say this and I'll cut it out if my friend doesn't want me to share this, but like her son needed brain surgery this weekend, and every single doctor that she talked to, she got multiple MRIs and everybody was saying he was fine. And she knew he wasn't fine.
Something is not
and
right.
So she kept pressing and kept pressing and kept pressing until she was like, give him a brain surgery. And he has a history of hydrocephalus. So there's some other stuff, like he has a shunt. And they went in there and they found something wrong. And I just think that like I told her the minute they got out of surgery, I was like, you are amazing. Yeah. You knew your baby. Yeah. You knew. And it's like,
10 out of 10 times you know your child better than a doctor.
And the more that you follow that, the Holy Spirit's guidance, your intuition, whatever, like you see, wow, that was right.
Yeah.
He was right about that. That still small voice was accurate. You learn to trust it more, and you learn to care less about anybody who's not that still small voice.
But also I wonder, by us following the Spirit's nudges, does the Spirit trust us more?
He does.
Is the Spirit more willing to give us those nudges more frequently, more powerfully?
Oh, and that's biblical, because you can actually silence the voice of the Holy Spirit by ignoring him.
You build a wall.
Yes.
Every decision you make that ignores him, you're building a wall.
Because you're just like, he's not going to force himself on you if you're not walking in tune with him. And I just think if he knows all truth, I always say this, like, why do we not take him up on that? Yeah. Like, okay, so what do you know? And what do I need to know? Yeah. And how do I navigate this situation? He's always going to respond.
Yeah.
So I think just trusting that, making those decisions, and then you're like, hey, I've got this.
Yeah.
And when I don't, he does.
I agree. What is the story behind your friendship? My husband's a chiropractor, and I got pregnant in January of 2021 or 22. 22. Okay. January of 2022. My due date was like February 12th or something. No. We miscarried. No. Okay. Pause. No.
Do you want me to tell?
Rewind. No. We had the same due date. It was like February. And I had.
But Brady had kept saying, like, you need to hang out with my wife. And, you know, like, people just, like, say that. And you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But, like, he kept saying it.
He makes me friends a lot in the office. I have a lot of friends from the office. But we got pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
And we had, like, a due date within, like, a week of each other. Okay. And I reached out to you. I'm like, oh, my gosh, we're pregnant at the same time. Brady told me, like, we should, you know, maybe meet up. You lost your baby like 3 days after we sent that message. And you messaged me that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so awful. And here we are a couple of weeks later, I lost my baby. And I think like a month after I lost my baby, when I was like, I need people to relate to, because nobody talks about miscarriage. I mean, maybe a little bit more now, but in my world at that time,
after our losses,
we did. Because I was so desperate to connect to somebody on this, because I kept trying to connect to my friends who haven't had miscarriages. And that's a hard thing. And like, I need somebody who knows what I'm talking about. And I reached out and we met up at that place on Main Street.
Blackened House.
Yeah. And we had dinner and it was like instant, like, I just felt an instant connection to you because
we talked for so long.
We
and
did.
There was like, yeah, it wasn't weird at all. Like, I just feel like we like knew each other, and then
we instantly got into
kind of just like went like from there.
We
just got close really fast.
Yeah, we went on a few play dates with the kids.
Yeah.
And then I was at a conference because I had been itching so bad to start something, and I was gonna do like a concierge business where people could book appointments with me as a chiropractor, like online, to give them advice on different things. And I'm like, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I don't know. I was like playing with it for like 6 months, and we had went to the Lauren Daigle concert. Do you remember? We went to the Lauren Daigle concert. I just reached out to Jesse and said, hey, this is on my birthday. My husband's working. Do you want to come with me?
Yeah, that was so
Again,
fun.
I put myself out there,
right.
and you reciprocated.
Yeah.
And I think I told you that night, like, hey, I just got back from this conference and I think I'm going to start my own concierge business.
Yeah.
And then the next conference I went to was like 2 weeks later. It just hit me like, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a podcast, and I want Jesse to do it with me. And I have in my note, I sent you a picture of my notes from that conference.
I loved that.
With, like,
I know.
all the things I wanted. And then I text you. I'm like, hey, can I come over and talk to you?
She's like, I have a notebook and a pen. And I'm like, perfect.
About a business idea.
Yeah.
And then I sat down, like, we were just like a budding relationship. And I'm like, hey, do you want to do a podcast again?
Yeah.
Again, I put myself out there. And we started.
Totally.
And I think through our podcast, we became friends, but also like outside. It's been more, it feels more like family to me, honestly.
Totally. I've never gotten like so close to a friend so fast. Like, we just had like our 1 year friend anniversary, like, or I guess podcast anniversary.
Yeah, it was a podcast.
But like, still, we've known each other for less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're my best friend.
Yeah.
And that's just like,
that is God's hand.
Unheard of.
God's hand.
Yes.
He said, you two need each other.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And I think it's just really fun to see that you can, like, it's never too late to find a best friend.
No.
You know? Like, I think that's what's really cool about it is we're not in college anymore. We're not like working, this just happened the way that it did. Yeah. And like, follow up on those things because they happen for a reason. Brady was saying that for a reason.
Yeah.
I felt close enough to you to share that I was having a miscarriage for a reason.
How did you find Brady?
There was a girl,
Heather.
Heather. Yeah. She was posting all about Gonstead. And I was like, I've had migraines my whole life. I've got to figure this out. And I've been going to a chiropractor my whole life, but she swears this one is different. And then I look it up and it's a minute down the street from my house. And I'm like, talk about the Lord. I was like, perfect. And then like a year and a half later, I'm completely free of migraines and headaches and dizziness.
Yeah, all the things.
Perfect. Yeah, this was like, a good friendship for multiple reasons, right?
Tips for intimacy while co-sleeping. I feel passionate about this one because I feel like that's the biggest trope is like if you're co-sleeping, you can't have sex. 100% you can have sex when you're co-sleeping. There are so many places to have sex that are not
That's
your bed.
our favorite thing to say. We're like, do you understand that there are multiple rooms to a
Yeah.
house?
And also, okay, so your problem might be, well, I need to lay down with my baby. Lay with your baby until they fall asleep and then get
Roll
up and
away.
go. And I have a monitor. Like, we don't use it a ton. Well, I use it during Lily's naps, but we don't obviously use it at night a lot. But I'll put the monitor on if that makes me feel better. Like, I don't want her to roll out of bed. But with Noah, it got to a point where we were putting him in his crib, and then I would pull him into my bed when I went to bed.
Yeah.
That way I didn't have to worry about him rolling. But like, yeah, in our rental house, oh my gosh, like our kitchen counter, our couch, the bedroom floor, the closet, the shower, like so many
Don't
places.
eat food off of Amanda's kitchen counter. Noted. No, but seriously, like, just get creative.
Yeah,
and put your baby
so
down,
fun.
roll away, figure it out, because it's important. And
It is. And like I said, I feel like a lot of times with co-sleeping, you're kind of touched out. And men and women have different needs when it comes to intimacy. And there's always going to be give and take. Don't always make your husband be the one that's like giving. You know what I mean? That he is sacrificing his connection so that you can feel connected. It needs to go both ways.
Yep.
So anyways, it's definitely, I'm not going to lie and say like, oh, it's like when we were first engaged. And
no, you have to
were waiting for
choose
marriage,
because you're often very tired. You're often very tired.
It's not like pencil it in by any means,
Yeah.
but it is like, I miss you. I want to feel connected. Let's go. You know? I don't know. Find a good lube.
That helps.
Let's do one more. And then you guys, we are going to do a part 2. I think we've done like half. Maybe.
I don't think I can
45%.
bear another like transitioning out of co-sleeping question. So
Why?
because we answer those every day on our
you're right,
page.
Oh, well, I'm not to that yet. So, we already talked about discipline. Any tips that work really well for you? My word for the year is peace. Book recommendations. The Holy Bible. No, I'm not.
Gosh, I was gonna say that.
I'm not even joking.
But also, okay, Lisa Turkish, one of my favorite authors, and also Anne Voskamp. You cannot read any of their books and not feel peace, especially their audiobooks. And if you're feeling like there's like tension in your life, Forgiving What You Can't Forget by Lisa, such a good book. But I was literally going to say the Bible.
The Bible's all about peace. That's just about Jesus and peace. And that's my favorite book to read in the whole wide world. I love it so much. I read it every single day. And I've read it so many times over and over.
And I feel so peaceful.
I feel so peaceful every single time. No, but I've been reading M is for Mama.
I've heard you are like the third person who has said something about this book to me.
It's so good. It is so good. It is all about stepping into your own motherhood, not being a mediocre mom, and just like, it's just a vibe. It's a really good book. I really like it. It's by a mom. She's an Instagram influencer actually, and she has 10 kids.
Amazing.
I hope I'm not getting that confused with my wild and free homeschooling book. I might be. Anyways, it's great. M is for Mama. It's really great. But the Bible also very great. And I think the Bible is so great because every single time you read the Bible, you come away with different things because your perspective has changed since the last time you've read it. So you get into your scriptures.
The word is living and active.
It is. And it applies to your life in every season in a different way. So even though you've read the Bible before, reading it again, you're going to pull different stuff from it completely. And I really love like getting different versions of the Bible. Like King James is my favorite version of the Bible because this is the reason why King James is my favorite version of the Bible, because it's written in the English that that still has multiple meanings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and there's like a whole translation history with it. It's like the least translated English version of the Bible that we have. So like it's least translated from this word that could have 10 different meanings. And then now this word maybe could have 5 different meanings versus if you're reading the Bible in plain English, you can't really translate that. You can't pull different meanings out of it. And that's not actually true. You probably could, but I just find it very easy with the King James version to pull multiple meanings out of one single word. And find like a good podcast or a study, because there are things like I love to know like the history of like what was going on when this was written, who wrote this, and like what was his personality, like so I can kind of see what was being pulled in from the time, because that completely turns the meaning of a verse for me. And when we're talking about like disciplining our kids, like that, I think is also an important aspect to look at it. What was going on at the time that this was written by a human being? Yes, a prophet, but a human being. Like what was popular in their day? Like what was the historical happenings around him?
And there are so many verses, and I'm actually writing a devotional right now. And so it takes a lot of what you're talking about, where if I'm going to pick a verse, I need to know the entire chapter and I need to know the context and the and who's writing this and why. And there are so many verses in the Bible that were spoken to the disciples, for example, that were for the disciples and only for the disciples. And I think that we like take it and we're like, this is for us right now. And this is why it applies. And I will say, like, yes, there is a lot in the Bible that is like completely applicable to right now, and it's all good for like teaching and all preaching and all of that whole verse. But I will say you need to like use discernment when you're reading scripture. And there are some really, like, you love the King James. Have you ever read the Passion Translation of the Bible? It's only available for the New Testament, but like so beautiful. And it's just so fun. There are like, that was the other thing I was going to say. If you go on your Bible app, there are so many plans on there, and you can just like select plans for what you need. So that person that said peace, look for a plan about peace. When I was going through miscarriage, I was looking through for plans for loss, and then pregnancy after loss. There were plans for pregnancy after loss. There's plans for raising toddlers. There's anything you could think of. There's a plan on there. Like right now I'm doing the Bible in a year. So my plan is like 4 different chapters on there. And you don't even have to, like, if you'd rather read your physical Bible, it just like kind of gives you the scriptural references, and then it has some kind of Devo or something like attached to it. But I say that because it's the most easy, accessible, like option for moms. Just hop on your Bible app and click a plan and play it out loud while you drink your coffee and watch your kids play. And tell me that doesn't make your life astronomically better.
Somebody asked me what my favorite Bible verse was, and I didn't have like, I don't know if I sent them my most favorite, but I literally just opened, because I write in my scriptures. And I have a lot of like paper versions, so I can highlight and color and do all the kinds of things. And I get a new Bible every year so that I can, when I'm reading through it, I'm highlighting it and writing in it with today's fresh perspective, right? So I'll just read a couple of those. I sent like a few, and they're all peaceful. I think there's one that has like a story behind it, and I love it very much. So I was having a really hard time when Brady and I met, and Brady's kind of the one that kind of introduced me to actually reading scriptures. And I was literally having like a moment where I was so overwhelmed with life that I was going to cry. And I opened up my Bible app, and I just literally, I'm like, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to scroll. I'm going to pick a book, and then I'm going to scroll. And I'm going to pick a verse. And I landed on this verse, and it's like probably one of the most famous Bible verses in the world. It's Joshua 1:9. Have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, be neither thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. And then I cried for a really long time, because like I just needed that one actual verse right there, and it came to me, and it was so beautiful, and I just love that verse so much. That's peaceful, because God's always with you wherever you go, even in the hard stuff.
I'm just laughing at myself because I wrote that verse on my basketball shoes in college.
On your basketball shoes. Oh, here's one that I found that it was funny, because I found this one when we were going through our first viral reel. It's John 15:18. Do you know what it says?
All the hard moments of my life. When people were being mean.
Do you know what this one is? John 15:18. If the world hate you, you know that it hated me.
It hated me first.
It hated you. How perfect is that?
That's one of my favorite verses. Take heart, it hated me first.
Yeah, like it's okay. Right. But seriously, open up your Bible.
I remember I like looked at Amanda and I was like, why do we think like if Jesus was perfect and he was killed, why do I ever think that I'm not going to experience mean, aggressive comments or people in my life? We just won't. There's no way to escape it, because he was perfect and he got killed.
Yeah.
Even though it was God's plan, it's still like,
yeah,
that's a tall order.
Yeah, I know. I love when you said that to me. It was like exactly what I needed to hear. I mean, I still spent the whole next morning sobbing in my kitchen. Legit
it still doesn't make it easy, because it's not fun. Like we want to be liked, but we're just not going to be by everyone. That's okay.
All right.
But hey, if you're listening, you probably like us, so
I hope so. I I hope I don't offend you like I do the rest of the internet.
I feel like there's like a lot of people in my life who are like kind of close to me that don't listen to our podcast, which is kind of weird.
I don't know.
And I try not to get bothered about it, but like I think that's true.
I don't actually know anybody that listens to our podcast. Like none of my friends and family do.
Isn't that weird? Though?
I mean, my friends, my new
like,
friends
how do I not get offended by that?
Like Bailey's probably listening to this right now as we're talking, and I freaking love her. And I like my new friends; they all listen to it.
But I don't know. I'm like, at what point are you like? Do you listen to my podcast? Like, do you even care?
We had a message from somebody that said, like, you talk a lot about like your family trauma. Like, how does your family react to it? I'm like, well, they don't hear it, so they don't listen.
I actually think I know my sister listens, and I think my mom might. I know she watches our reels, but
yeah,
it's just kind of funny where you have like really good friends, and you're like, hi.
We have this whole
trying
thing
not
that
to be
we
offended.
I know, and I feel like none of my family our friends from home like really even know what we do. So then I was posting that. You know, our Spotify Wrapped?
Yeah.
I posted that, and then I got in trouble for bragging. Because I'm like, I was proud. I'm like, you guys don't even know that we have a podcast.
I think that's what it comes down to is like, this is a lot of time, effort, work, thought, intention. It's like, it's time away from our kids. It's planning. Yeah. It's creative time that could be used elsewhere. Yeah. Like, we're pouring so much into this, and not to mention pouring our hearts out to all these people who we don't even know are going to be listening. And I think that that's just a really vulnerable thing, and you want to hear from like the people in your life, hey, you're doing a good job. But I don't know, for some reason the Lord didn't surround me with a ton of like words of affirmation people, and I'm always like, can someone tell me I'm doing a good job? I think I'm doing a good job, but I don't know, can someone tell me I'm doing a good job? Like, that'd be great. Well, we're working on not being offended.
Together,
I know.
I send you giant long paragraphs.
I know. You're very encouraging. So honestly, you've been like one of the sole reasons I've even survived this season. And like ever since we met, because you met me in the worst time of my life. Well, same for you, but yeah, how cool that we're on the other end of that.
Yeah, I know.
Sitting across from each other still. I remember being so nervous about recording like our miscarriage. Remember we were talking about miscarriages and we were both pregnant? And we're like sweating, and we're like, why are we doing this?
It was when I was about to move, and we had the kitchen table in the living room. Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yeah. Go back and watch those reels if you're a new follower.
Yeah, those are something. And if
content's still great.
If you've been there since then, we love you.
Yes, thanks
so
for
much.
Being here.
You're not here for the viral reels. You're here because you care. But we're gonna do a part 2 because we got through maybe a third of these questions.
Yeah.
And we want to honor all of you guys. So
and some of them are repeats, so we'll pull out the repeats, and I think we can get through it in a part 2.
Yeah. And then we will dive into probably more structured, or we'll just keep doing Q&As. What do you think?
We need to actually sit down and plan.
We're gonna do that this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Did you talk to Brady? Okay.
Let's go talk to him.
Okay. Well, we'll have a plan one of these days, but we are having an event soon, and we'll get back to you about the details for that too.
You guys, 2 postpartum moms. It's hard.
We're doing our best.
With 2 kids.
And I think we're doing really good because we're at least consistently doing this.
Hey, we have a whole podcast that is released every week, except for that 1 week that wasn't released.
Because I was so not in good shape. But
that's pretty good. I mean, a lot of postpartum moms don't have to do a podcast every week.
Like
and
we
they still
definitely don't. And we definitely don't need to be up at 9:30 p.m. with makeup on either. But here we are.
I know. I have to put lipstick on before we record because I feel like my lips disappear on this camera.
I know. This is a harsh camera. Talk about being postpartum in front of a camera. I'm like, what is going on? Okay. Well, anyways, thanks for listening. This was an hour and 15 minutes, and that's actually not too bad. But
no, that's
here we are.
I don't even think that's our longest episode.
No, that's not. It's nothing. You haven't seen anything yet.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.